want to talk about those of you who are aspiring shamanic practitioners and are trying to develop some level of a shamanic practitioner practice. And I've recently gotten interested in oracle cards because there's a specific oracle deck that I recommend anyone with sort of any shamanic lineage that they have been working on or trying to tune into. When you're starting out with oracle cards, I personally think that this deck is absolutely amazing and is really well tailored towards shamanic practitioners and shamanic um, developers, I guess you would say, people who are learning shamanism. And that is the Earth Magic Oracle card deck by Stephen D. Farmer. He's got a book by the same name. I think it's also called Earth Magic. This deck comes with your little guidebook here. Is by far one of my favorite decks when we talk about oracle readings in a shamanic space. It's just a very grounded, simple, well laid out deck. For people who are starting in oracle and are also new to the shamanic space or to the shamanic area. We deal in this deck, he deals with a lot of shamanic concepts. So you have the actual shaman that's in here. You've got various types of animals. You've got obviously things like ancestors and ancestral work, which is a core foundation of shamanism. All over the world, you talk about shamanic practices. This deck is by far one of my most favorite decks to use, specifically when I'm dealing with someone who knows that they have shamanic lineage or someone who is wanting to just start breaching into divination spaces and expanding their intuition, but in a shamanic type environment. This deck is absolutely probably one of my favorites. It's very simply drawn out. It's pretty straightforward. There's not really any sort of imagery that is going to be like unheard of within this space. And if you're doing a shamanic practice, you should be familiar with all the concepts that are discussed within this deck, because all of the concepts that are in this deck are going to actually be foundations that are talked about within shamanic practices all over the world. The concept of innocence, the concept of love, the concept of ancestral healing, the concept of spirit within everything and everything being of spirit. So which has the term animism, by the way. Having the ability to really be able to connect to different types of spirits, right? Even spirits that maybe we didn't initially think, or elements that we didn't think had spiritual properties associated with them. Shamanism, you learn that those things actually all possess spiritual properties. The stones, the crystals, the trees, the grass, all of that actually does possess a level of spiritual prowess. So if you're someone who's starting out in a shamanic based practice and you're looking to have your first oracle deck that's based more around shamanism or seems to be geared towards the shaman, this deck is probably the one that I would recommend most above all the other decks, even the ones that seem to be explicitly tailored for the shamanic practitioner. This deck here by Stephen Farmer is probably the easiest, the most direct, the most practical deck that a shamanic practitioner is probably going to lay their hands on. So I hope you found the information in this video helpful. I hope you found, if you buy this deck or you use this deck, let me know what you think of it in the comments. I want to hear what you guys think of this deck and how this deck works for you and functions for you. I know it's an older deck, but it's really a goodie and it's one that I highly recommend. So until next time, bye.